Uh, Good evening, everybody. A couple of weeks ago, I was listening to Radio 4, and there was the founder of Charles Truett Shirts was talking about the value of transparency to their business strategy. And he was really talking about a service called FIFO, which they use, which basically after 2 weeks after you buy a shirt from Charles Truett, you get an email that says, how was your experience? And you can rate it from poor to excellent. And as soon as you fill it in, it goes straight up onto their website and it's visible to all. And the company can't in any way sift through the data or choose what goes up. So you can go onto their website. 120,000 people have filled in the feedback. You can see how satisfied people are with the service. You can start to explore the people who fed back they had a poor service. You can find out exactly why it was they had a poor service. And the value to him was threefold. He said it builds trust between him and his customers. Secondly, it creates a forum where people feed back into their forum rather than a website somewhere else where it's harder to track, harder to respond to. But thirdly, he feels he's inviting stakeholders, his customers, to shape their strategy for their business. And he feels this is a very powerful thing. And that got us thinking, what would it be like if one applied that same level of transparency to sustainability? What would that strategy look like? And we thought about it, and we thought it would probably be a website where you'd have all the stakeholder interests represented on it. So you'd have the information that investors wanted, employees, customers. It would have dynamic data on it. It would probably have all the data that your management team was using for their decision making on that website. It would be different for sectors. It would be different for individual companies. But there are some basic areas you can kind of imagine would be on it. You'd have environmental data. You'd have your emissions data. You'd have real total data, you'd have intensity measurements, you'd have your resource consumption, how much energy you're using, how much water you're consuming. You'd have social data, so you'd start to look at what's the ratio between your chief executive's pay and the average pay in your business. You'd look at how many your donations to charity. You'd look at the commercial value of the program, and I think this would be very important for your investors and your finance director. So what are your green revenues? How much are you saving every month? If you're pretty sophisticated, what is your contribution to profit of your sustainability program? And what is then your fourth area might be your supply chain area. What are your supply chain standards? What % of your company, your suppliers are adhering to that? So that would be pretty radical, and no one is doing that at the moment. But what would it do for your business if you did do it? Well, you'd probably wind up a few people in your organization. There are probably some people who would say, you don't want to put all your weaknesses out there on your website because the NGOs will have a go at you. You wouldn't want to put commercially sensitive data on your website because your competitors would see your strategy. But those people would be the same people who would have said to the founder of the shirt company, don't put your negative customer feedback up on a website where everyone could see it. What you would do is you'd build trust. From NGOs to employees, you would create a warm, fuzzy feeling that you're sharing data with them that they care about. And you would probably put an accelerator into your business. You put your head over the parapet. You'd have people criticizing your strategy. You'd have people discussing your strategy, people suggesting how to improve it. And what we've learned in the past year from this platform here to many sources of information is that sustainability strategies, when executed correctly, create value. And contrary to what George Osborne seems to think when he created his speech last week, the Harvard Business Review came out with a survey or it's a study a couple of weeks ago, showing sustainable businesses outperform unsustainable businesses by 4.8% per annum. And over a protracted period of time, that is a major outperformance. M&S, we have here tonight, have shown us how they create £70 million a year contribution to profit from Plan A. So then why wouldn't you actually put in that level of transparency into your sustainability strategy? Well, to help us answer that question and many others, we have an expert panel here for you tonight. I'll just quickly run through who we have. We have Louise Tyson from BP. Has any company faced so much scrutiny of its environmental standards in recent years as BP? I doubt it. Louise will tell us how BP's responded and how she sees the future for sustainability reporting. Rory Sullivan is a guru on the investor perspective. He's written 7 books, and he'll tell us what he thinks of integrated reporting. Then for something a little bit different, we go to Adam Ellman from Marks & Spencer's, and he'll talk to us about how you measure the value of a sustainability program from a company who is very much pioneering this. And then we go to something really quite different. We go to Generation Y, and why Generation Y is demanding transparency of organisations. And we're pleased to welcome to our stage tonight the youngest person ever to have addressed Green Monday, Alan Mack. And Alan, I thought, was going to be late tonight. He told us he'd be half an hour late because he had not because he's 28 and he's young and they're always late for everything, but because he had an audience with the Prime Minister, which kind of tells you how Alan's doing for a 28-year-old. And there's a lot to say about Alan, but his bio is in the programme, so I'll let that speak for itself. And then there's you. And then there's a world outside who may be following us online. This room is packed full of expertise. We want your views too. So please raise your hands, feed in through Twitter, questions, comments. This is really your floor tonight. So I'm now going to hand over to Louise as our first speaker this evening. Louise is Head of Corporate Reporting at BP.